Hi, everyone. My name is Anthony Caruso III, and I am the publisher of the Capital Sports Report. I am also the host of the Capital Sports Report Live. Tonight, I have a sports broadcasting guest on, and in Ralph Sheheen. Welcome to the show tonight, Ralph.
Thank you, Anthony. Been looking forward to doing this with you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for coming on. Ralph, how did you how did you want to be a broadcaster? As a little boy, did you want to go into the sports and motorsports field of broadcasting events, or did you have visions of doing something else and then it led to this?
No, I always wanted to be in sports as a broadcaster. Um, as a kid back then in the 70s, you only had three races really on TV a year. You had Daytona, Talladega, and Indianapolis, and I used to watch those and, watch Chris Economaki and Jackie Stewart and all the guys that were part of the broadcast back then and think, boy, that's really pretty cool. That'd be fun to do. If I can't be a racer, that'd be a fun way of being a part of the sport. So when I got into college, I knew exactly where I wanted to go and started pursuing the career right then and there.
Did your love for motorsports come from a track uh, that you grew up near? Because you grew up in Utica, New York. Did you go to Utica Rome Speedway in Utica, New York, and that developed your love for motorsports?
Actually, I was born in Utica, but I was raised in California. So I've never actually
Okay.
been to Utica, Rome. I've always wanted to go there. I have all my family, aunts and uncles and cousins all still live up in the Utica, Rome area, but I've never made it to the racetrack there. But yes, the racetracks in California definitely shaped my passion for racing. The old Fairgrounds Mile in Sacramento, West Capitol Raceway, Placerville, Chico, Sacramento Raceway, Sonoma Raceway, all those tracks, Laguna Seca, those are all the ones I went to as a kid. And yeah, they were very impactful in my passion for racing.
After college, your very first broadcast that you were a part of was an IMSA race in 1988 with ESPN, now the worldwide leader in sports. What was that like to be involved with ESPN so young in your broadcasting career?
Yeah, well, it goes back to that old saying of if a door cracks open, you have to kick it open yourself. I just graduated from California State University, Chico, and I've been PA announcing around Northern California throughout that summer. And I knew the IMSA season finale was going to be at Del Mar at the fairgrounds there. So I reached out to the racetrack about getting on their PA system as one of their announcers. And they said, well, we've got all of our PA guys. They said, have you ever done any television? ESPN's looking for another pit reporter. And I said, oh, yeah, sure. I've done a lot of TV. Of course, I'd never been on TV a day in my life, but I saw the crack in that door and I was coming through. So I told them everything I needed to about IMSA to make them convinced that I knew what I was talking about. And they ended up hiring me. So there you go. Just on a whim, I got lucky and I was going to be on ESPN.
When you got that assignment and you said there was a crack in that door, was there a lot of pressure on yourself, even though you talked a big game? It had
Oh,
to be a lot of pressure, like, what am I doing here?
yeah. When they called me back to tell me they gave me the job, part of me was trying to be really cool on the phone to act like I'd been there before and, I knew what I was doing. And I'm like, okay, who do I need to talk to about flights and all that? Trying to be, real calm. But on the inside, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? I'm going to be on ESPN. This is either going to make or break my career in one weekend. And then they called me back and said, oh, by the way, your colleague on pit road is going to be Chris Economaki. Then I knew I was really in trouble. I thought, oh man, that's like a rookie pitching against Nolan Ryan. Crazy.
Yeah.
I got through it.
Yes, and now your career has grown ever since to where it
30
is today.
years later, Anthony, and I'm still on TV somehow. I can't believe it.
Yes. Well, that shows your dedication and passion to what you do.
Well, yes, that's definitely a part of it. You have to be lucky as well. I mean, luck is a big part of it. You have to be lucky to get those opportunities just like that day. And then you have to put in the time and the work ethic to be prepared to excel when you get that opportunity so that you get another one after that.
Yes, very, very true. In your broadcasting career, you have covered a variety of different motorsports.
Yeah,
You've
pretty
covered,
much everything from swamp buggies to Formula One and everything in between.
yes. So, as a broadcaster, how do you approach your different assignments? Because each one has to be different. Like you, when you were starting out, like you couldn't focus on um, like the IMSA stuff has to stay with IMSA. When you were doing the NHRA back in the day with TNN, you had to focus on the NHRA, so you had to know everything that was going into NASCAR, Supercross.
Yeah.
How, as a broadcaster, do you make yourself versatile to know all these different tidbits that you need to know as a broadcaster to do these
Well,
shows?
I think what happens is two things. One, you got to learn how to do television. That's the first job, right? Meaning you need to know what the producer expects and the director expects and how to accomplish those goals. In other words, when they start counting you down to 10, you need to know, I've got to be done by the time he gets to one or two. I don't want to hang him out. All those little details. They sound simple, but they're not. And you have to be good at be able to, make that stuff happen. So I accomplished that. As far as all the tidbits of knowledge that you're talking about, I think it's a lot easier to talk about something you're passionate about than something you're not. For example, it's easy for me to study up and maintain the knowledge on racing because I truly love racing. I watch everything, follow everything, read about everything. I'm on the internet all day talking to people on the phone, watching whatever is on. I mean, I'm in my office here in the house and I got a library behind me here, racks and racks of books that I read every single page of all forms of motorsports because I really am passionate about it. Even if I wasn't doing this job, I still have all these books because I just like the knowledge. I like reading about racing. So if I had to know this much about, say, architecture or soccer, I couldn't do it because I'm not interested in it. But because it's racing, it's easy for me to digest that information and hang on to it up here, absorb it because I really like it.
Yes. Could you talk about some of the books you may have behind you that help you with your knowledge?
Sure, let's see. Well, here's one right here. It's a perfect example right in front of me. So, as you know, I do the American Flat Track Championship.
Yes.
It's, used to be known as the Grand National Motorcycle Championship. And here's the complete Grand National Championship history from 1954 to 1969.
You have to move it over.
Let's see. How's that?
Oh, okay.
Everything you need to know about every racer and every race that took place from 54 to 69. So
Wow.
there's one. You were talking about IMSA, right? Here's the
Yes.
history of the IMSA prototypes, the entire TTP series, everything you need to know about that. So, these are just some of the different types of books. And then, of course, there's, let's see, I got some books like this one here, AJ Bame did. This one a lot of people will know. Go Like Hell, which is the story, basically became the Ford versus Ferrari movie.
Okay.
That AJ Bame did about Ford versus Ferrari and that whole story at Le Mans. And then this is another good one that my buddy John O did about the history of IndyCar, the Indy split between the IRL and kart, how that all went
Yes.
down. So, it's stuff like that, right? You're constantly reading
Yes.
everything you can get your hands on to learn something that you didn't know. Some of these are just background information type books. Some of them become knowledge as far as stats, like the IMSA book and the Grand National book. We just did a race up at Bridgeport, as you know, last weekend. So I might dig up an old nugget about a race. And we're going to Peoria this coming week. So I might dig in there and find
Yes.
some nuggets about Peoria to make a little note card about, take with me. I did a perfect example. I did the Long Beach Grand Prix earlier this year. And part of the weekend was a vintage Formula One series. And I had the entry list, and I've got a couple of books that go through, just like that IMSA book, go through the history of Formula One and every manufacturer and every car that they ran and how those cars did. I was able to look up each and every car that was in that race out at Long Beach and get the history on every single one of those cars, where it ran, who drove it, how it performed, all that. So when we got to Long Beach, I was the one guy on the announcing crew that knew everything there was to know about the F1 cars. Everybody else was just like, well, that one's good looking, and I like the sound of that one. And I was able to get in there and tell you about the engine and where it came from and all the updates that have been done to it over the course of the years that it raced. So it's that kind of effort, that attention to detail, that ends up separating you from the other guys in the industry if you're willing to put the time and the effort in.
Yes. My nephew, he has a question for you. He said,
right.
I'm going to bring it into the screen. He says, have you done dirt track racing, like modified Colin?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I literally have done everything from swamp buggies to Formula One. I joke about it that way, but it's true. I've done big block modifieds. I've done IMCA modifieds. I've done super modifieds, and you name it. Yeah, I've done them all. I really enjoy the big blocks. I know that's probably what he's talking about, being up there in the Northeast.
He's a crew member for Brandon Grasso's modified car that now they are back owners of New Egypt Speedway.
Yep.
New Egypt, New Jersey, and he works for the car. Well, it's called the Grasso Racing, and he works for the two brothers as a crew member. And now the Grasso family previously owned the track, and now they're back owning New Egypt Speedway.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, no, I've done a lot of big block races.
Ralph, early in your career, you also anchored a TV show called NASCAR Race Day. Could you talk about that experience? Because that had to be a little different as a host than broadcasting these.
Yeah, I've done basically all the different positions in television. There's pit reporting and play-by-play, and then the color analyst position on a live race broadcast. And then you have the host position of a studio show type situation. I've done a lot of that as well. NASCAR Race Day was one. Speed Report was some. Race Day, we did that. I did On Pit Road. I did Inside Cart. I did one for the AMA. I did another one called NASCAR Nation, which was the precursor to what everybody knows now is the Hub on FS1. So yes. I've done a lot of that, and I enjoy each and every one of those positions, Anthony. They're all different challenges. You have to prepare differently for each type of position like that. You have to bring something different to the game. I think if I had to choose one, my favorite would be to do the play-by-play. I really enjoy that. Pit reporting would be my next favorite, and the host position probably after that.
When you are doing like pit reporting, and as a young boy, when you were like wanting to do this business, has there been a case where you've been like starstruck and be like, hey, I'm interviewing this guy, and I looked up to him when I was growing up?
It's funny. I just went to dinner with my wife, and we were kind of talking about that over dinner. And I said, it's amazing. I can't believe that young kid that you're talking about actually has reached a position in his life where I have been able to interview every racing hero just about that I've ever had.
Oh, wow.
I mean, obviously, I missed some because they passed away before I had a chance. But from Mario Andretti and AJ Foyt to Jackie Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Sr., Dan Gurney, Carroll Shelby. I'm just reaching on names here. Steve Kinzer and Sammy Swindell and Don Garlitz. It's incredible to think that I've had that opportunity. I've been very, very lucky to have been in those positions to do that. And to have those opportunities to interact with them. And some of them have gone on to become friends. not just acquaintances through an interview, but Mario is a friend. AJ is a friend, you know? So
Yes.
it's amazing to me that I've gotten to know those people that way. They were truly my heroes when I was that little boy dreaming of this, and now they're your friend, you know?
Yes.
So it's one of those things that those are the moments that make all the garbage that you have to go through to get to those moments well worth it. And the garbage, you know, it it might sound glamorous, but the travel part of this job is not the glamour part. We always say that you get paid to do the travel, you do the broadcast for free. Because if you get paid a lump sum to do your event, right?
Yes.
Well, it's you really earn your money on the travel part because of the, you know, airplane travel these days is not glamorous, and it's a Greyhound bus in the sky. You know, you get delayed all the time, and the seats aren't comfortable, and all that sort of stuff, and you're away from your family, and it's another night in a hotel, and all that sort of stuff can wear you down. I just got a thing the other day from American Airlines saying I'm a 2 million mile flyer.
Wow.
And I thought, is that really a great thing? You know, I
Probably
mean,
not.
in the long run, that's a lot of time at elevation in a tube away from your family, you know?
Yeah.
But it was taking me to places and giving me experiences that are incredible, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. So it's what you have to go through to get to that moment of being able to interact and interview and call those races.
I 100% agree with that because like what I deal with in covering sports, some things I don't even like to cover sometimes, but I have to do it because there's people who follow my stuff and they're a fan of it. So as a sports publisher, you have to cover everything, no matter if you
Right.
like it or not.
Well, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I absolutely love what I do, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I understand, you know, look, there's people out there, you know, working hard 9 to 5 jobs every day, you know, that the garbage guy is probably sitting out there saying, yeah, I'd be more than happy to fly those miles. And I understand that. Trust me, I get it. But when you're doing it, those are the things that when you look at it, you go, man, this is what wears you down. No job is perfect.
Correct. You were a pit reporter for the Daytona 500, the
Yep.
biggest the marquee biggest race on NASCAR schedule every year.
Yep.
What was that like to be a pit reporter for that event?
It was really cool because I earned the opportunity. You know, CBS reached out to me, and I had to audition for them and go through a process of earning that job. So when I did, it was very rewarding to know that you had you know, they had reached out to me and they had called me and they wanted me, and I earned it. So that was very rewarding to know that I had done that. And as you said at the time, you know, look, the two biggest broadcasts in the world at the time were the Indy 500 on ABC and the Daytona 500 on CBS, the Tiffany network, as they call it, you know, very prestigious, the top of the mountain in motorsports broadcasting for sure. So I'll never forget being on the grid that day, you know, wearing my blue blazer with the CBS I logo on it and getting ready to interview Dale Earnhardt Sr. And we got Ken Squire up in the booth, you know, who I'd watched call the 500 for years on CBS. And here's, you know, Ken, and a good day, everybody. Welcome to Daytona. You know, I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm not hearing it through my TV. I'm hearing it through my headset like he always did. And then he throws down to me, you know, and let's go down to the grid. And here's, you know, the newest member of our team, Ralph Sheheen, you know, and it's like, wow, Ken Squire is throwing to me at Daytona, you know. That was a very cool moment.
Yes.
I still have my blue blazer.
Wow. All these years later, do you have well, you got mementos behind you. Do you have like other like blazers and other things that you keep
I
as
did.
keepsakes?
I try. I like all that stuff, as you can tell from all the garbage around me. Um, I've got things that
It's
I mean. I've got
memories,
light.
not garbage.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
One man's treasure is another man's garbage, right?
yeah.
Hang on one sec. These are some of the different mic flags I've collected over the years. It's a Speed Vision 1,
Okay.
Fox. Tried to get one from all the different networks. You know, there's TNT.
TNT, yes.
There's an
NBC.
NBC Sports.
Yep.
And a lot of people remember this oldie but a goodie.
TNN.
from back in the day. And
That was
I've
the
got
NHRA.
ones around here and Speed Channel ones and Speed Sport, of course, and some of those. So that's some of the stuff I've got. I've got the Blazers from CBS. I've got fire suits. Some of the race series that we used to cover, you had to wear a fire suit on pit road.
Yes.
So CBS fire suits, TNN fire suits, Speed Channel fire suit. Who else? I have an ESPN fire suit from back in the day. Trying to think, there's a couple of others, but yeah, I've the helmets, these Speed Channel helmets back here. Those when I was working for Speed, we used to do different things where you'd either drive a race car or ride a motorcycle and do different things. And of course, we had to have helmets on. So the network had to deal with Arai, and Arai would give us the helmets. And then they had another guy out in California who would do all the paint work. So those were custom done for me, like that. I've got a couple others around here too.
Wow.
And then
It's
other things that I have are, different mementos from different reasons. Like bottle of milk from the Indy 500. This bottle is actually from the year during COVID, when they
Yes.
ran the 500 and nobody was there. They
Okay.
actually ran that race on my birthday, August 23rd that year. So I went to the race. You actually had to be invited to go as a member of the media that year. Normally, you just send in a credential request, as you would know, Anthony, and
Yes.
accept it or not. But that year, they really limited the amount of people that could go. So they basically sent out an invitation and said, you have been invited to come if you'd like to. So I wasn't going to pass that one up. I usually go every year to the 500, but I really wanted to be there for that since it was on my birthday. And I figured probably the only time in history it'll be run on my birthday in August. So I didn't want to miss it. Oh, and then I have this.
I see the sprint cars behind you.
Yeah, that's Donnie Schatz. When
He
ran
just won at Adora, the Kings Royal.
Yeah, he ran that in Knoxville
Okay.
one year. And then that's an old AJ Foyt card. And then we
Okay.
have a Johnny Rutherford Indy car up here that Johnny has signed. So, but speaking of sprint cars, I have this now. That's
Your
my
picture.
plaque.
That's from your Hall of Fame. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, that's my induction plaque for just getting into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. So there's one of these hanging now at the Hall of Fame. And then they gave me this one to take home and put, wherever I want to put it. I just haven't figured out where I want to put it yet.
Wow.
I don't think the wife's going to let me hang it over the dinner table, but that's where I would put it.
Yeah, no. And probably not in the bedroom either.
Probably not going there either, no, but we'll find a spot for it.
Yeah. Wow, you got a lot of memories, a lot of things that
it's really, I'll tell you one thing you can't see is right below us is the garage. And in the garage, I like to get posters from all the events I've done if I can.
Okay.
And I'll frame them up. In here, I've got things that are, it's kind of like at different levels of importance, right?
Yes.
So here in this game room office are things that are very valuable to me personally. Not necessarily a dollar value, but like these mic flags. I mean, I held every one of the microphones that these mic flags were on. So that means something to me, right?
Yeah.
That Sprint Car Hall of Fame picture means something to me. The ones in the garage are posters of events I've worked, but they're posters. They're not paintings or any, super expensive collectibles. But I've got them all framed and all over the walls. And it's really cool to go in there every now and then and just look at the wall because it's such a wide variety of stuff. I literally have Swamp Buggy posters and Knoxville National posters and NASCAR posters and Indy 500 posters. And to look at it all and go, oh, I remember doing that, or I remember doing that one. And to stand there and just kind of take it all in and go, wow, it's been an amazing ride for 35 years already. I've done so many things and been so many places that kid you were talking about only dreamt of going to, and there they all are. It's pretty amazing.
Yes, that's what I say. The same thing for me. Like even yesterday. So I this wasn't planned or anything. So on Friday night I covered wrestling, and the owner of the wrestling company was at the soccer game that I covered yesterday, and he taps me on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, I talked to you on Friday," and then another reporter says, "Oh, Mr. Celebrity, you know everyone." I'm like, I
Yeah.
didn't even plan that.
No, but as you get out there and you get to know those people, if you do a good job, you will get noticed and they will remember you. So I'm sure more of that's coming your way.
Yes, I agree. It's been an amazing journey for my career, and for now we're venturing into podcasting and doing more of these, and hopefully this will grow as like the sports media company that I've had for 16 and a half years has done. So it's been an amazing ride, and it's not done yet.
Nope, just getting started.
Yes, exactly. You touched on the Knoxville Nationals, and that's one of the most historic races that any sprint car driver wants to win. What was it like for you to be involved in that race as well? Like we touched on the Daytona 500. Could you talk about your experience, what it was like for you to be involved in the Knoxville Nationals that will
Yeah.
be coming up here in a few
So
weeks?
for me, um, it's very important to me. I'm very, very passionate about sprint car racing in general, but certainly Knoxville because it is the thing.
And that's where the Hall of Fame is as well.
Yep, right there in turn two. And when I first started going to Knoxville and broadcasting it for TNN, it was tape delayed. So we would go, Steve Evans and myself and Brock Yates, and we'd go and record the interviews and Victory Lane interviews and all that, do some features. Then we go back to Nashville and voice the race over. And then we went and we would voice it live from the track, but not live on air, just live
Okay.
for broadcast later. Then we ended up doing the first ever live Knoxville Nationals, and that was incredible to be a part of that. And I mean, I just remember the vibe in the crowd that night was just incredible. People were just so excited that for the first time, Knoxville was going to get seen live to the country. And I can remember the grandstands just shaking as we were getting ready to go live and they were doing a countdown. People in the grandstands were jumping up and down and shaking, and the grandstands were moving, and we're at the top of the grandstands. And it was Dick Bergeron and I, and man, that thing was just rocking back and forth, and all the lights are going off, and we came on the air, and man, the energy was so high. It was incredible. And then to be there to call nights where Danny Lasowski, for example, got his first win at Knoxville, and they almost tore that place apart that night because he was kind of like the local kid.
Okay.
And then see Steve win there so many times and be a part of those broadcasts. To watch Steve Kinzer work traffic in Knoxville is mind-blowing. As many times as I've seen it, I still can't believe he was able to do what he did there. I mean, the guy is just remarkable, just remarkable. And to be a part of so many of those big nights were really something.
Yes, and the Knoxville Nationals, you're touching on that, and I would like to mention this. We didn't talk about this in the beginning, but it's still sprint car related. Just the other day, last week, I believe it was, or the week prior, Tony Stewart's at Eldora Speedway in Ohio had the largest purse for a sprint car race
Yeah,
ever.
dollars to win.
Logan Stewart won, and he lives like an hour away from me,
Yeah,
and that was pretty cool.
yeah. No, that's it was really cool of Tony to put up $1 million like that, and it couldn't have gone to a better group than Logan and those guys. I mean, I don't want to say they're underdogs because I know they feel like it in times, but they're as tough and as good as anybody on the tour. They might not have the same amount of money backing them as some of the other teams, but they're every bit as good. But to see them pull off that win, Bobby Allen and Logan, was really cool.
Yes, yes, the Shark Racing team. And the announcer, when Logan won, he asked him about overcoming adversity from all the times that he's had to overcome adversity to get where he is today. And he like told the announcer, like, don't give up. If you are dedicated to your dream, continue to do it, and eventually it will happen for you. And that was pretty cool because everyone who's going through adversity, we tell everyone that's watching us to keep going, don't quit.
That's right. I mean, people ask me all the time about wanting to do what I do, and I always tell them, I go, there's 4 Ds out there. And one of these books in here was NFL football coaches giving kind of like inspirational stuff. And one of the things I got out of it was the 4 Ds.
Okay.
Dream, desire, dedication, and determination. You got to have a dream, right?
Yes.
Something you want, like Logan winning $1 million, or me doing what I'm doing, you doing what you're doing. You got to have the desire that every day you're going to get up, get your shoes on, and get out of bed and go to work to try to achieve that dream. You got to have the dedication that you're going to stay after it, because inevitably you're going to have bumps along the way. And are you just going to quit, or are you going to get back up the next day and go again? And then you got to have the determination, because especially in this business, and the same with the racers, people are going to spin you out and put a wheel on you for the dumbest reasons, right? You're going to lose. I can't tell you how many gigs I've lost for no good reason, but just because maybe somebody doesn't like the color of your hair, right? Whatever it is.
Wow.
But you can't let that stop you from saying, no, I'm going to get there whether you want me to or not. I'll find my own way to get there. Logan obviously did, and I have for 35 years, and you have for 16. It can be done. It's tough,
Yes.
and it's not easy, and then there's a lot of times where you do want to quit, but you can't.
Yes, very, very true. And I face, like you were talking about, like losing jobs. I face a lot of haters and like, oh, you can't do it. Or like I always say, oh, okay, you're gonna fuel me, because okay, you can't do it doesn't mean I can't do it.
That's right. No, I had a lot of people tell me the same thing. Like, when are you going to go get a real job?
Yep.
I am a real job, and I got it.
Yep. And now they get to see you all over the place.
Yep. Yep. I had a guy I used to intern for, worked for an ABC affiliate back in Sacramento when I was growing up, and I was an intern out of college, and he told me I was terrible and I'd never make it. And I always wonder if he's ever seen me on national TV.
He probably has.
I hope so, because he never got there.
Yes, it's like the Steve Harvey quote that when he was in school, he wrote down that he wanted to be on TV, but the teacher said he couldn't be on TV. So every year on Christmas, what does he do? He sends the teacher a TV, so hopefully she can see him on TV.
I love it. I love it. That's great.
Yes. So back to our conversation here. In 2009, you were the fill-in announcer for Bill Weber.
Yep.
He could not do a show in New Hampshire. That was your first opportunity as a lead announcer. Could you talk about that?
Yep, that was one of these right here. fact, this is probably the one I held that day now that I think about it. That was at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We were up there for the NASCAR race. And I had gone to see REO Speedwagon and Styx on the Saturday night of the race weekend with Kyle Petty and Rutledge Wood. And we were on the side of the stage, and we were going to go out on stage on the next song to sing backup for REO Speedwagon, okay? We were shooting some little feature for the broadcast. And I love rock music. I can't play anything, but I love rock music. So for me, I was like, oh, this is going to be like incredible to go do this. While we were getting ready to do that, my phone rang, and it was my boss at TNT. And he said, hey, can you do play-by-play tomorrow? I've been doing play-by-play of other forms of racing, but not NASCAR at the Cup Series level. And he said, can you do play-by-play tomorrow? I said, yeah, sure. What happened to Bill? He goes, don't worry about Bill. Can you do play-by-play? And I said, yeah. Tony Stewart's in the 20. Jeff Gordon's in the 24. Jimmy Johnson's in the 48. Yeah, I got it. No problem. He's like, okay, get back to the hotel right now. I'm like, well, we're about to go on stage with REO Speedway. He's like, I don't care. Get back to the hotel now. Oh, man. Okay. So we left and went back to the hotel. And we got back to the hotel and walked into the conference room. Everybody on our broadcast team was all in the conference room. And I was like, whoa, what is going on here, you know? And they said, look, Weber's not doing the broadcast tomorrow. Ralph's going to do it. They said, Ralph, we don't want you to go into the garage area tomorrow. We don't want anybody to know what's going on. You're just going to come on the air. You're the guy. Wow. Okay, here we go. So they said, don't call anybody. You know, don't get on social media. Don't do all that. And I said, can I call my wife and tell her? He's like, yeah, you can call your wife. I'm like, okay. So I go back to my hotel room, and I called the wife, and I said, hey, you might want to tune in for the broadcast tomorrow. It's going to look a little different, you know? So go to do the race, and the race broadcast went fantastic. In fact, it was Joey Logano's first ever Cup win.
Okay.
So it was a pretty special day all the way around. Joey gets the win. I had a great call. Everything went really well, and everybody was really pleased with the whole thing. Fans are very happy. A lot of positive comments. Get back to Charlotte Sunday night. Monday morning, I wake up and phone starts blowing up, emails rolling, you know, and all this. I got a phone call from the president of TNT Sports. I got a phone call from the president of TNT. I mean, everybody was thrilled with what went down, you know. I was like, hey, it's just happy to be there and available and able to fill in when you needed it. So then my boss called from TNT, and he was happy. And I said, okay, so am I doing Daytona? Because that was next. You know, I didn't know what was going on with Bill.
Okay.
I said, or is Bill back? And he said, well, we don't know yet. Like, okay. So it wasn't until Wednesday. I was supposed to leave Thursday for Daytona. And he finally called on Wednesday, and he said, bring your fire suit and a blazer in case you're back in the booth. He goes, we'll decide when we get down there. I'm like, really? All right. So I pack all my stuff. I head down to Daytona, get down there. We go to the meeting on Friday, and it was on Friday where they decided, okay, you're in the booth on Sunday. Or Saturday night, actually, because it was what's now the Coke 0400. So it's going to be a Saturday night race. So there's Friday, he says, you're in the booth tomorrow night. Okay, no problem. Well, that race ends up being the one where Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch get together, coming to the checkers. Kyle gets into the wall, and Tony wins. And my call ended up being the signature call for TNT for all their NASCAR coverage for like the next 10 years. When they would do the, you know, NASCAR on TNT and all this, and they would run that as their call signature for it. So it was a pretty cool night, and everything was great. Now we got to go to Chicago for the last race of our 6th that year. Get back to Charlotte, and I'm like, okay, so am I doing Chicago in the booth, or am I back on pit road? Oh, we don't know yet. I'm like, really? We don't know yet. Okay. 2 races have gone great, but we don't know yet. All right. Wait through the week.
They want to keep a secret from you.
I don't know. So then he goes, okay, bring your blazer again and bring a fire suit to Chicago. We'll figure it out when we get there. So get there. Friday, they decide, okay, you're going to do the broadcast from the booth on Sunday. Sunday was Mark Martin takes the win. He pretty much walked it all day. Wasn't a very exciting race, but the call went great. Everything was good, and we finished off the 3 races. So now it's like, okay, what's going to happen the next year, right? Because at that point, they decided Bill was not coming back. So they're going to have to put in a new person in the booth. So I thought, well, if you fired your head coach and you bring in an interim football coach halfway through the season and he gets you to the playoffs, you should probably get the shot to have the job first.
Correct.
It's usually how it goes.
Yes.
So I was kind of thinking, I think I've earned this opportunity here. You know, I did a good job. Everybody liked it. Even Brian France, who was head of NASCAR at the time, reached out to me and he's like, tell me you're the play-by-play guy for next year for Turner. I was like, Brian, I don't know. They haven't told me anything. This is January when he's asking me this.
Wow.
Brian, they haven't told me anything. I don't know what's going on. He's like, we need you. You brought the right kind of energy. We wanted you here. I'm like, well, you need to call them because I don't know what's going on. So
Wow.
waited and waited. 2 weeks before the Daytona 500, I got a phone call, and they said, we're going in a different direction, but you can come back and do pit road if you want.
You probably said no.
Well, look, I need the work. You got to have the work.
Yes.
So I said to him, I go, I'm really disappointed. I don't understand it. I won't understand it. And I won't accept any explanation. I said, but I don't have a choice. See you in June. I'll have my fire suit with me.
Wow.
And he said, oh, I can explain it to you. I said, I told him, I said, there's nothing you can tell me that will make me understand why you're doing this. And I hung up.
Yep. It's crazy.
So that's why I'm saying you're going to have those calls. You're going to have those moments. But what are you going to give up? Or are you just going to keep digging? But I kept going. And because of that, I ended up getting Supercross and had an amazing run with Supercross. So, you know, maybe it was supposed to happen.
Yes. Do you still, let's touch on NASCAR for a little bit longer. Do they still reach out to you like the broadcasting while it's on NBC and USA Today, USA Network, and I think it's not ESPN, but the other Fox. Does their networks ever contact you and ask you to come back?
I haven't been asked back on any of the major TV broadcasts in the last couple of years. I have done PRN radio for NASCAR coverage recently in the last couple of years. And that's okay. I mean, they know that I'm very busy. Like during the Fox time of year, I'm busy with a lot of other stuff. And during the NBC, I mean, I got so much going on right now. I'd have a hard time squeezing it all in anyway. And you know, it's one of those things where I've been there, I've done that, I've been to the top of that mountain doing CBS Daytona 500. I've seen the view and I loved it. It was great. My time there was wonderful, but I think it's time to go on and do other things now, and I'm okay with that.
Next, we will talk about Supercross. You've done Supercross.
Let me finish one thing on that.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to make sure everybody understands this. When I didn't get the TNT thing, they ended up giving it to Adam Alexander. And Adam is a good buddy, and I like Adam a lot. I think he does a fine job as a broadcaster doing NASCAR, and I have no ill feelings at all towards Adam on that. Adam didn't spin me out in any way, shape, or form. They reached out to Adam to see if he was interested in doing it. He went through an audition process, and he got the job. Good for him. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I just want to make sure everybody knows Adam and I are very cool on that.
That's good, because sometimes when you're doing this, and as people become very jealous, and I've seen that a lot with one very big event that I cover every year, and the Heisman Trophy, and this year being year number 13 that I've covered it, and a lot of reporters that when I talk to them, they get very, very jealous. Not like me bringing it up, but they can see, because it's all over the place that I've covered this event, and they're like, no, I don't want to talk to you because you're like bigger than me. And I'm like, I'm not bigger than anybody. I'll talk to anybody. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, no,
it's crazy.
I've had plenty of people spin me out on jobs, but Adam certainly did not on that one. So we're good.
Thanks for clarifying that. So if anybody's out there ever wondered that, then Ralph put it out there. That's clarification.
That's right.
For about 15 years, you did Supercross.
Yep, sure did.
And you work with Ricky Carmichael, Jeff Emig, and other broadcast partners.
Yep.
What was that journey like for you? Because that was a long time of covering that sport.
Nobody has ever done Supercross longer in the play-by-play role than I did, with 15 years of it, starting with Speed and then on to Fox and CBS and NBC. Did a lot of Supercross over the years. In fact, the first ever Supercross I did was back in 1989. 89. It was Tampa Supercross in the old Sombrero, the old Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium down there. So that's when it was the Coors Extra Gold Series. So my history with Supercross as a broadcaster is very long. And I think in a lot of ways, a lot of people think of me, even though I've done all these other things like we've been talking about, a lot of people think of me as the Supercross guy because I did do it for such a long time, and it became kind of like Monday Night Football. That Saturday night Supercross show became something that people who weren't even necessarily big Supercross fans tuned in just because the shows were so much fun and the racing was so good. So, and I'm happy with that. I mean, I love being the Supercross guy. I think it's great. I love that type of racing. It's so much energy. The riders are incredible. The competition is so high. I mean, I've really enjoyed my time doing Supercross. And now, even though that ended here in the U.S., and I went 2 years without calling Supercross, now we've got the World Supercross Series going. And I'm literally, Anthony, I'm traveling the world calling Supercross now. It's crazy. I've already been this year. I'm going to Singapore in September, Germany in October, Abu Dhabi in November, Vancouver in October, and Australia in November to call Supercross with Jeff and Kristen B. It's just remarkable when I think about that.
Yes. When you do those events and you get to travel, you touch on your wife. Does she get to come with you and you get to experience that together?
Yeah, when we were doing Supercross here in the U.S., my family would come a couple of times every year. There was always a race in Atlanta, and I live in Charlotte, so that's not far. We'd all drive down as a family and go to that one, and then I would always take the kids with me, each one individually. I have a son and a daughter, and Lucas and Olivia would each go to a race on their own with me each year, and we'd do something fun while we were there. And now the race I just did in England, I was able to take the whole family with me. You know, all the miles I racked up last year covered airline tickets for this year for them to all come with me. So yeah, they all went to England with me this year. It was fantastic.
Wow.
And Olivia going to a bunch of the American flat track races with me this year. She's been to Bike Week in Daytona and Sonoya, Georgia, and she went to Ventura and Sacramento this year. So she's been to a bunch of those and trying to get Lucas to a couple before he gets back to school here.
Okay. As a Supercross announcer, do you have a favorite call? Because as you're broadcasting for so long, you've got to call a lot of these athletes that are very, very big, very big name, like Jeremy McGrath. You did Travis Pastrana, Carmichael, and like Kim Roxon today, and Cooper Webb. So you've had a lot of chances to call a lot of big moments.
I think that's actually a Jeremy McGrath jersey right back here hanging over my head.
The red one or the blue one?
Yeah, the red and blue there, yeah.
Okay.
I think some of the highlight moments for me, probably one of my all-time favorites was actually a 250 race, which was known as the lights category back then, in Vegas, at the season finale there. We had Joey Savacci was involved, and let's see who else was in on that. Was Steve Cerullo? Gosh, my mind gone blank now that I'm trying to think about it. They all came together and they crashed in the next to last corner, which led to another guy getting the win and the championship, which was amazing. Oh, I know one for sure that is a favorite was Daytona 2008. It was a monsoon, absolute hurricane-like conditions. The track was flooded. I mean, flooded. Chad Reed was leading, literally just walking the bike around the course almost. And he got 2 corners from the finish, and the thing died on him right there.
Wow.
Finally gave up and died right there. And Kevin Windham ended up coming around and just getting past him and winning the race. It's probably the slowest race I've ever called, but it was so drama filled because you didn't know whose bikes were going to survive. And then there was one with Dungey and Villapoto in Dungey's hometown in Minnesota in the old Metrodome that we did live on CBS. That was really cool because they went at it, and Dunge ended up getting the win that night.
Yeah, I talked to Ryan Dungey before last year, the year prior.
Carmichael's last race in Orlando was really good because Ricky and James and Chad went at it, and they were just, I mean, throwing whips on each other and doing that, and it was incredible. That was a good one.
When you get to broadcast these events and talk to these different personalities, and you get to know them one-on-one, you have to be able to bring, like, you can't bring everything that they tell you, but you can bring certain things into the broadcast to make fans know more about them.
Yeah, you have to be able to build the trust with the athlete, the competitor, whether it's a crew chief, car owner, driver, whatever it might be. So if they tell you, hey, this is off the record, it's off the record. You can't use that. You know, if you burn a guy once in this business, you're done. That word will spread real fast that you're not trustworthy, and nobody's going to tell you anything ever again. So I really value making sure that I live up to that trust and I don't ruin anybody's trust in me. But yeah, you can tell some stories, and then some stories you just can't, but boy, do you wish you could, because if you could, it'd be a whole bunch of fun.
Yes, I agree. Like I've even heard stuff from like drag racers that I talk to, and heard some things, but they're like, you can't use it. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm stuck.
Yeah, and you can't.
And that's the hard part about sometimes doing these things. Like they tell you something, and then you can't use it. And like, oh, that'd be a great story, but nobody will never hear about it.
That's right.
But it's what we do. So, outside of Supercross, and we talked about your other adventures. You today you do ASA. You have the Speed Sport shirt on, which you are the owner of, the American Flat Track Series, and you touched on the World Supercross. When you are doing all these different events like you are today, how are you able to juggle everything? Because sometimes you may have conflicts where you can't do one event or another because they're on the same weekend at the same time.
Yeah, it gets to be challenging. For example, I'm going to miss the last 2 rounds of ASA this season due to conflicts with World Supercross, but they understand. I mean, World Supercross is a huge deal on a major platform, big deal. It's great to be back with ASA, that Bob Sargent has re-energized that series. You know, I was a big part of ASA back in the 90s when it was on TNN, and Johnny Benson and Mike Eddy and Bob Seneca were all a part of it. And I loved my time with ASA, and it's great to be back with it. In fact, I'll be doing an ASA race next Tuesday night in Kaukauna, Wisconsin, that will be live streaming on speedsport.tv, so you can see it there. But yeah, sometimes it gets challenging. Sometimes you get lucky. I've got American Flat Track this coming Sunday at the TT in Peoria, Illinois on Sunday. So I'll fly up there Saturday, do that race Sunday. Then I'll fly Monday from Peoria through Chicago to Appleton, Wisconsin. And I'll do the ASA race at Kaukauna on Tuesday night and then fly home Wednesday. And then the following week, I go to Sturgis for the big bike rally up there and another flat track race up at Sturgis. And then the next week, I get back from Sturgis on Monday and I leave for Knoxville on Tuesday. And we do the Nationals during the week. And then I go from the Knoxville Nationals to Castle Rock, Washington for flat track up there with another TT over the back end of that weekend. So there's a lot of juggling and craziness with airplanes and all that, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yes, you touched on the Sturgis bike rally, and you said that there's a Sturgis race. For those that do not know, like myself, I never knew that there was a Sturgis race up there.
Yeah, American Flat Track will run at Black Hills.
Okay.
It's a half-mile high bank dirt track. World of Outlaws used to run there. We'll be there with the flat track motorcycles on Sunday afternoon, August 6th.
Okay. So that's next week.
Yeah.
Next weekend, I mean.
Yeah, a week from this coming Sunday.
Yeah. Wow. You are the owner of Speed Sport, a very historic publication. Could you tell our audience what you do with Speed Sport?
Well, as the owner, Speed Sport has evolved quite a bit over the years. We've owned it for, I think, 12 years now. Started in 1934. We'll be 90 years old next year. Just crazy, hard to believe. But Speed Sport is still, we don't print a publication anymore, but we are still delivering the news every day through our website and social media pages. And we have speedsport.tv, which is our live streaming channel now. And last year we did 2,500 live stream motorsports events of every form of grassroots racing you can think of. Nobody is producing more live stream motorsports events than we are at 2,500. I can tell you that. And we are in the process now. We've just launched Speed Sport 1, which is our fast channel. And we have a new app getting ready to come out for that, so everybody will be able to get it. And we're working with some of the other big fast channel platforms that we're very, very close on, that we look forward to being able to announce to everybody that we'll be on those platforms very soon. And Speed Sport 1 is 100% free, no charge. Right now, today, when you get done talking to me, Anthony, you go to speedsport.com and you can hit the watch live button and you can watch whatever broadcast we have out there tonight for free. No cost. It's free.
Wow. Okay.
That's our big project right there, Speed Sport 1.
Yes. Everyone who's listening, that means you can watch and listen to racing, and you don't have to pay for flow racing.
Nope.
Because some people complain about flow racing. I see it all the time on social media.
Yeah, no, look, I understand it. And we have a live streaming platform, so I get it. I know how that goes. But this fast channel process, we really wanted to do that because we wanted to be able to bring all this racing for free to the marketplace. So it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week network, 365 days out of the year, and it's all free motorsports, and it's full of racing.
So what, with that channel being 24/7 and 365, I'm guessing.
Yep.
What do you do in the off season? Replay the events or try to do events that are going on?
I mean, there's racing all around the world going on at different times of the year. So,
okay,
you know, maybe you're not doing sprint cars from Knoxville, but you're doing ice racing from somewhere else, or you're doing drag racing from Australia, or you're, you know, whatever the shows might be. So, yeah, we find a variety of different things that are out there.
Yes, because I know some people don't know, but in so drag racing in Australia, they go from like November, December through June,
Right.
our time, because June that's when they're so when we are in winter, they're in their summer,
Correct.
and then when we're in our flip flops.
Right.
So that's why a lot of drivers in our wintertime go over to Australia to compete in like Top Fuel or
Correct. Like we
other
have
winter.
a Supercar Championship on our network.
Yes, with the Speed Sport one, you said all different kinds of motorsports. Is there a motorsport that you would like to add on there that you haven't done so yet?
The only event I haven't worked that I really want to be a part of is the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Okay.
I've never done that race. I've done a lot of sports car races. And obviously, that first ever broadcast was IMSA, big sports car race. I've done the 24 Hours of Daytona. I've done the 12 Hours of Sebring. I've done Petit Le Mans. I've done, Laguna Seca and Sears Point and Mid Ohio and Road America and all the big tracks, Lime Rock and so forth. But I've never been to Le Mans, and I would really like to do that.
Is that close to happening? Do you know, or is it?
I got close to doing it back when I was working with Speed Channel. Speed Channel had the rights to it, and I could have gone, but I was also working for TNT back then. We always had the Cup race in Michigan, which was on the same weekend, so it kept me from going. But hey, who knows? You never know. I didn't think I'd be doing World Supercross, so you never know.
Yes. My nephew Scott has another question for you, but it's drag racing related. So
I like drag racing.
he said, "What do you think about Acco Dragway closing? That's about 45 minutes from where we live."
I had a chance to get to ATCO and one of the legendary facilities out there. Any track that's open for 63 years or whatever it was, and
Yep.
then it closes, I hate to see that because, you're not going to get it back. And every time we lose one of these tracks, it's a shame. It's so much harder to open one than it is to close one. And I just hate seeing any racetrack, whether it's a drag strip, motocross track, dirt track, whatever it is. I hate to see them close. And I've been crossing around the country this year, come across so many different tracks where the owner says, "Man, Amazon called. They want to build a big warehouse here. I don't know what to do." And you're like, "Oh my gosh, it's everybody you talk to." I get how the world is changing, but man, we can't lose these little tracks. We need them.
I agree on that 100% because when you lose these tracks, it's very, very hard to ever get a replacement track. Sometimes it does happen, but very rarely.
Yeah.
And when you lose these
I understand
tracks,
from the promoter's perspective, it's really easy to take that big check from Amazon. You've been working this track for years and maybe just making it. And here they dangle that carrot at the end of you're thinking about retiring. You got this big carrot sitting out there. I can't necessarily blame a guy for taking it and going off and retiring and enjoying his twilight, but as a race fan, I hate to see it.
yes, I do too. And I've been to AGCO a lot over the past 15 years or so and covering that. And I was actually supposed to be there in 2 weeks for the NHRA divisional race next weekend. But since they closed down, that race isn't happening. Thankfully, Maple Grove Raceway in Pennsylvania picked up that race. And so I'll be in Maple Grove next week. Next weekend. And it's just like frustrating to see like not only did we lose ATCO, but 5 years ago we lost another historic track up the road about an hour away at Old Bridge Township Raceway Park. We're losing these drag strips here in New Jersey. We're not going to have anywhere as a race.
Yep, I know. It's frustrating.
I don't know.
Frustrating. I know we're in California that I grew up going to, but I don't know.
As a broadcaster, do you when you lose lose these tracks and you see these tracks going away, do you feel like, being in that I have a big name, maybe I can do something to help stop these things from happening?
Well, I don't know if I have a big name. Certainly don't know if I have a big enough name. And more importantly, I don't have a big enough checkbook to stop it from happening. And that's what it's all about, right? It's about money.
Yes.
It's always about money. And I understand the promoter, sitting there, he probably has big debts to pay and everything. And having that check sitting there right in front of you has got to be awful enticing. And I can't blame a guy for, taking it and getting out of all the troubles he's had and, enjoying his life that way. But as a race fan, yeah, it's frustrating.
Yes. Finally, Ralph, I would like to ask you, this year, you were inducted into the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you to now be in the Sprint Car Hall of Fame with legends of the sprint car community?
It means absolutely everything, Anthony. I am so appreciative from Bob Baker and Bill Wright and the entire staff out there in the voting committee. You could have knocked me over with a feather when Bob told me that I was being inducted. It's you said it, the legends, and those legends include Mario Andretti and AJ Foyt and Johnny Rutherford and Chris Economaki and Jack Miller and so many incredible people, Sammy Swindell and Steve Kinzer and Danny Lasowski, heroes on every level of the sport of sprint car racing that I'm so passionate about. And to think that now I'm a part of that Hall of Fame forever, it's incredible. I went out there in June for the induction ceremony and had a fantastic time. But when I go back here in about 2 weeks, I'll be able to go up into the Hall of Fame and for the first time see my plaque actually hanging on the wall as part of that. And that is going to be, that's going to be a different feeling. I'm not sure what that's going to be like yet. Because, I've seen the plaque, but to see it actually in the hall is really going to be cool.
Yes.
And
and you showed your picture.
I got messages and phone calls and notes from so many people about it, and it really warms your heart, that they're genuinely happy for you,
Yes, I agree. And congratulations on that. And I know yesterday, I don't know, I'm sure you know about this because I posted about it. I'm sure you posted about it. A sprint car Hall of Famer just lost his job yesterday, and Lance DeWeese.
Yeah, and Lance is a great race car driver, certainly one of the best ever out of Pennsylvania. I'm sure it won't be long before Lance is back behind the wheel of a car, whether it's on the Pennsylvania tour or running with the Outlaws. He's too good to be on the sidelines for long.
Yes, I agree, and I think a few years ago he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I forget when it was, but it was a few years ago he was inducted.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You think about the guys that are going to be inducted. Donnie Schatz will go in, and
correct.
Logan Schuchart will probably go in, and Scruffy's already in, and all that. But it's
and Brad Sweet will probably go in there.
That'll go for sure. And Kyle Larson will go, and a bunch of them. So it's incredible to think. Dominic Scelzi will probably go, and Gio as well.
Yes. It's amazing to see the talent that is in sprint cars today with the World of Outlaws and the other series that are out there. Like some of these people are amazing to watch.
It is a stacked field, no doubt about it. I mean, we always say try to compare eras, and you really can't. But boy, the group that we have running right now is as good as you'll see. That's for sure.
And not only in the Outlaws, but I've covered this guy, and I've talked to him very well, and he's I know he's sidelined right now with a back injury, but Tyler Courtney, he's a very, very good driver for the All Stars, and he won 2 championships.
Oh yeah, Sunshine can wheel it. He's got a lot of skills. Yeah, I hope he heals up quick and gets back behind the wheel real soon.
I know, what was it, last week or the week before, he was injured. I think it was at Eldora, wasn't it?
I don't remember where it was, but yeah, it was a big hit. And, look, that's the nature of the business, right?
Yes.
You just got to be able to rebound quick.
Yes, and unfortunately, this past weekend was very, very bad for our motorsports community. I don't know if you know this, but we have lost two racers, and that's the sad part about covering it, and for you covering it in the form of
Yeah,
broadcasting. It's not
yeah,
very good to see
easy,
that.
never easy. And, I guess the only thing that you can say about it is that fortunately, we don't deal with it all the time like they used to.
Yes,
We have certainly made major steps to reduce those types of situations, and thank God for that. Um, and it'll never be perfect. I mean, obviously, there's more gains to be made, but it'll never be perfect. But that's part of racing.
exactly. Well, thank you for your time for joining me tonight, Ralph, and good luck with the rest of your career and your historic moments that you have collected so far. And congratulations on being inducted into the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. You said you get to see yourself in the plaque and the special moment you're going to see in a few weeks. So that's got to be very special for you.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Appreciate you having me on, and thanks for all the kind words. And encourage everybody to go check out speedsport1.com.
Yes, and before we close, outside of being on Facebook Live and YouTube Live right now, this podcast will be uploaded to Rumble, BitChute, and Spotify for podcasters in the coming days. Thanks again for your time, Ralph.
You got it, Anthony. See you soon.